everyone. Thank you for joining me for my very first Facebook Live. I am in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it is an absolutely beautiful day here. So I am working more on being in the moment and enjoying things in the moment. So therefore, I'm trying this Facebook Live thing. So stick with me. If anything goes wrong, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to make this a little bit more often. But I wanted to talk to you today about concussions and EDS. So I am a board certified neurologic physical therapist, and I've recently started my own practice, the Dizzy Physical Therapist, because we zebras deal with a lot of dizziness. And some of those things that I hear a lot from people is that they have concussions and that the symptoms just don't go away. So I wanted to talk a little bit about those concussion symptoms, kind of what is a concussion? What is it? So a concussion is kind of being termed as a mild traumatic brain injury. And what happens in a concussion is that you have this massive stretch. Oh, that sounds familiar, stretchy bodies. So you have this stretch and you have this massive exchange of energy. So all of your cells in your brain send out all their energy all at once, and then you're in this energy deficit. So you kind of go this huge energy, and then all of the energy kind of like is gone. And so you have this time for like a month where your brain is just depleted of energy. And so what do you do for that month? What do you do for that time? And the best outcome, the research shows the best outcomes are to get right to a physical therapist. And so best things are get right to a physical therapist, take it gentle walking, gentle exercise, gentle cognitive activity. Don't just rest in a dark room, because then your brain thinks, oh, I don't need to make any more energy. Your body thinks, I don't need to send any energy to the brain. The brain just kind of forgets it's there. So gentle exercise, gentle cognitive activity. Really try to encourage your body to send that energy back to the brain. Give it a little bit more energy. And then get to a physical therapist. So we all think that like we're gonna wait and see if this goes away, but the best thing we can do is get straight to a physical therapist that knows about concussion, and they can kind of give you a little bit of what to expect, tell you what's happening, and then do some things to increase that energy. Give yourself some nutrients, really stay hydrated, get some brain healthy food, get some DHA high nutrients. If you do fish oils, or if you're a vegetarian, get some from a vegetarian source. So really increase your body's ability to shunt nutrients to your brain. And for us with the hypermobility, we do have some of that like gut stuff that makes it harder to get nutrients. So we really have to kind of nourish ourselves and give ourselves that extra grace that we have to really give that to ourselves for a while. So then that brings me to, what about those times when you just like barely bump your head but you feel like you have a concussion? So every single concussion has a neck component. So it takes 10 times more force to give you a concussion than it does to make your neck crank or give you some kind of a whiplash component. So that's why it's so important to get to a physical therapist. So you might have like kind of barely bumped your head and be like, oh, I got a concussion. But really it's your neck causing those symptoms. So it takes 10 times more force to actually cause the symptoms, that massive energy crisis in your brain. But it actually can be your neck that causes a lot of those things. Your neck has all these amazing spindles and muscles and nerves that tell you where you are in space, and as hypermobiles we already have a little bit more trouble knowing where we are in space, having that proprioception. So even just that like increased crankiness of your neck, like really clamping down and not knowing where you are, can cause a lot of those symptoms. So how do you know if you had a concussion? There's really no way to prove it. There's no imaging, there's no test, there's no perfect way. Some of the symptoms, some of the more prevalent symptoms that'll say yes, it's possible that you had a concussion is like if you're immediately dizzy, or if you couldn't walk or crawl, if you couldn't coordinate some of those things in your body, right? Those are things that are like, yep, pretty sure you had a concussion. For us, we tend to have a lot of that autonomic stuff, so some of us just pass out. It doesn't necessarily mean that you had a concussion. It means that your autonomic nervous system was being a brat. But definitely, it's better safe than sorry, right? If you had a bump, it's a good thing to get to a physical therapist and get all those things checked out. Now, what does your physical therapist need to check out, right? What is all involved? It's super complex. So, that physical therapist really needs to be screening your exercise tolerance, needs to be screening how your autonomic nervous system is behaving, needs to be screening your neck, needs to be screening your balance, needs to be screening how your eyes are coordinating with your ears and how your eyes are coordinating with your neck. So kind of look at how your visual tracking. So what are the symptoms that you're going to be having? So some of these signs and symptoms that kind of come up and these things that kind of just carry on, that can be either from that energy crisis, but more commonly from the neck stuff, are you tend to get really overwhelmed when you're in crowds. Like when the eyes aren't coordinating really well, you can almost see like everything twice, or things get really overwhelming. Some people even tell me that they have to ask a question 3 times and they don't even remember that they asked the question. And that's because your brain is so busy attending to all of these signals and all of these things that it didn't normally have to attend to. And that's kind of, it doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means that we need to get these things a little bit more integrated again and make it so your brain isn't so overwhelmed. You know, those symptoms of brain fog, that can be some of the autonomic stuff. That can be some of the pain and the headaches. That can be some of the stuff from the neck. Really looking at, like, if you have exercise intolerance, if you used to be able to exercise and now you try to exercise and you just feel super symptomatic and really sick and really gross, those are all things that we need to screen. Those are all symptoms that really can come on, but they're treatable. We can work with those. If you're having difficulty with reading or pain and headaches, these are all things that are really common after a bump on the head, and these are all things that we need to be screening. These are all kind of the symptoms that you can look for, and then definitely reach out. Reach out, get help. You don't have to live with these symptoms. These are all things that are kind of, it doesn't mean your brain is broken, it just means your brain's overwhelmed. It all gets really, really overwhelming, and there's a lot that we have to deal with every single day. And it just tends to be that, you know, if you're already extra stretchy and you've had a bump that you have that relies on a stretch, or your neck is extra stretchy, I just see that people take a little bit longer to recover. So give yourself that grace, give yourself that extra help. You deserve it. So feel free to reach out. I'm always here for questions. I'd love to answer more. If there's something that I didn't answer, you know, type that in. Or if there's something that you want to hear about in the future, I'd love to hear it. So thanks so much for joining me this Friday. I hope that you're having a beautiful day.